a couple of things to reflect on this. A couple of hyper-local Bibles. Number one, um, he- um, policing and us filming policing incidents in public. Last year I recorded a hyperlocal Bible and talked about the fact that you turn up to in a public place, you're filming something, you're actually just doing a panning shot, and I'm of a police cordon area, and the police officer comes up and says to you, you're not allowed to film. And I did a piece then, and you can see that there. So I'm always loath to repeat myself, but I've had it again. And I'm probably going to contradict myself in a minute, where again I turn up to a crime scene. As I said, I'm not doing CSI Harlow, I'm just doing a panning shot. So if you say an area, people go, oh, it's that part of that area, whether it's a street or etc., an avenue, whatever it is, a general area, people have a little bit of a better idea. But I turn up and doing the same thing, and immediately two officers come up to you, not allowed to film, etc., preventing the breach of the peace, etc., and they not arguing the toss with me, just telling me, because I just say to them, listen, I'm in a public place, I'm a member of the press, this is what I'm doing, and then the sergeant came out, and the same thing, and I think they could have been intimidating. Yes, I'm 56 years of age, I think I've been in some ways around the block a bit, and one thing I wasn't going to do was, the YouTube thing, where I'm actually filming them, telling me what they're not allowed to do, but. And I think my concerns were A, that they didn't know what the College of Policing guidelines is, B, how much they tried to bull me and probably bully me about it, and then but how did I go about it? I just went away, filmed what I had to film, the panning scene, and then contacted a senior officer, not grassing it up, because I like to think that's not my style, but very much saying, listen, can you tell your officers what the College of Policing guidelines are? That is to say, they have no legal or moral right to prevent a journalist recording, filming, photographing in public, and they could find themselves in dodgy ground. And so what happened in the end was the senior officer, emailed all the officers in the area, in the district, and just said, listen, and told them what the score was, and we did it like that. There was no need for us to play it out in public, nor I wasn't going to make a story. Sometimes I'm thinking, being too nice a guy there, too much of a soft journalist. I make my judgments, and it's kept me going for 10 years running Your Thurrock and Your Harlow. But I just think, I wonder, there might be 22-year-old journalists, or I don't know, whatever age journalists, who might have lost the story because the police told them not to do something, which is of a concern. But one of the other points that the senior officer made in mitigation was, he said, well, one of the things, when he was a probationer and there was a crime scene, loads of journalists would turn up, and now he doesn't see any journalists, or they don't see any journalists. Might be the odd in more ways than one person like myself, but he said, and maybe they're just not used to this thing, we're having to deal with a journalist on the scene. Well, I don't. I think that's a reason stroke excuse, but it's an interesting point that he made, and maybe something for others to consider. Maybe we need to go out of the way to nurture our relationships. It's not easy with the police these days. It would be very frustrating. We certainly find here in Essex that they start doing their press releases in the first person, which really annoys me. We are looking for, we would like to, we have, and then, no, I'm not we. You're saying this to me. You're saying this to the press. This should be in the third person, like it used to be. Why on earth is that? And I just think these things are unhealthy. I think things like, and again, this is sort of slavish devotion to social media, but they might say that's where their audience is. But I think things like delaying telling us about a missing person, 3 or 4 days, maybe 24 hours. And they'll say, we'll put it on social media first, that's where audience is, and about 24 hours later, we'll tell the press in that area or beyond. And I think the question I was unanswered was, I asked the question, do you say to the families, by the way, there's a local online newspaper, like Your Harlow, 1 million page views a year, we do not proactively reach out to them until about 24 hours later. Do you do that? And they didn't answer that question. And I think that's a real concern. They need to be honest with these families who are worried about their loved one, and say that's, and that question still needs answering. And I think I think there is a bigger story here, which will probably go into the next Hyperlocal Bible, which I'm going to do.